Fungi are one of the oldest and most diverse organisms on Earth. Current evidence suggests that the earliest fungi fossils date back to 2.4 billion years. That's way before the first marine animal was even alive. While some have developed a symbiotic relationship with plants, others have evolved to be parasites. Ophiocordyceps unilaterais is a species of parasitic fungus that has specialized to infect worker ants of the Camponotus genus, commonly known as carpenter ants. This fungus is found mainly in tropical rainforests such as those in Brazil and Thailand, but researchers have also collected samples of infected ants in more temperate biomes like those in the southern United States. The fungus needs to enter the ant host in order to reproduce sexually to complete its direct life cycle. These ants build their nest high in canopy and spend most of their time foraging and working above the forest floor. But occasionally they are forced to descend onto the forest floor when it's the only way to get to other trees with more food higher up in the canopy. When they do, they may walk over the parasitic fungal spores that are released on the forest floor and become infected with the fungus. Once the fungus infects an ant, the invasion begins. It reproduces asexually and spreads itself throughout the ant's body. The fungus forms a network of hyphae. These hyphae are connected by tubes called cauldinal anastomosis tubes, which the fungus uses to transfer material between the hyphidal bodies. When the fungal concentration reaches a certain level inside the ant, the parasite influences the behavior of the ant to maximize the parasite's fitness. The infected ants can start having convulsions within days of being infected, making them appear as if they were intoxicated, and they fall off the trails leading to the high canopy. Unable to return to their nests or continue to forage, the infected ants walk around aimlessly on the forest floor. They spend the remainder of their time wandering in the understory. Then, when the fungus is ready for sexual reproduction stage of its life cycle, the ants are manipulated to bite onto the underside of a leaf and hang upside down. The fungus then kills the ant within several hours in order to continue its development. Over the following 2 weeks, the fungus continues to grow a large fruiting body that protrudes out the back of the ant's head. The spores are then released onto the forest floor, ready to infect the next unsuspecting ant walking along. The exact mechanisms the fungus uses to infect the ant's behaviors have not yet been determined. But the infected ants are found to have a high concentration of fungal cells in leg muscle fibers and the head just outside the brain, although there is no evidence of fungal cells inside the brain. In several studies, various protein-encoding genes in the fungus that likely regulate neuronal responses and alter biochemical pathways in the ants are suggested to contribute to these behavioral changes. Why don't we talk to someone on the ground for a closer perspective on the zombifying fungus? Hello there, little guy. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Woodcutter. I'm a representative from the Camponotus tribe.
Could you tell us a little more about your experience with O. unilateralis?
O. unilateralis is my worst nightmare. Worse than the leftovers at SFU Mackenzie Cafe. I've never caught it myself, knock on wood, but I've heard a lot about the scary fungus and have seen the aftermath myself.
I heard that ant folk often take infected mates far away from the colony. Is this true? Have you ever had to do that yourself?
No way! You're thinking about the ruthless garden ants. We don't turn our backs on our mates, especially since sharing food and shelter won't get us infected. The main thing is to stay away from the corpses.
Can you tell us about the corpses?
Unfortunately, yeah. Just last week, I happened to travel farther than I usually do, and it was around noontime, so I thought I would take a break. That's when I saw my roomie, who had been away from the nest since about 4 to 5 days prior. She was just hanging there, about 25 centimeters off the ground, give or take. That's usually where you see them corpses. All dank and humid and out of the sun. I bet that's how the fungus likes it. It looked like she was holding onto the vein of the leaf for dear life. Although she was still twitching, I knew she was gone. You usually see new victims attaching themselves around noontime. Scary though, they can still move. But then they stop moving late in the afternoon around dusk. Now come to think of it, it's strange that they're all hanging on the north-northwest side of the plant. Sometimes you can even see 20 or 30 corpses together. It's like an ant graveyard. It can be quite a sight. But then that day it was just her and a few others. The other ones must have been there longer than her, because I could already see the stroma of the fungus sticking out of the back of their head. You see that about 3 to 4 days after they die. Their body's also wrapped in this fine mesh of mycelium, kind of like they're mummified and permanently stuck to the leaf. Then in a week's time, you'll probably see a ball of mature parasitical plates on the stalk. You'll want to stay at least 3 feet away from it, because it shoots out all these spore bullets that go find more ants to make a home in. Oh, whoops. Sorry for bumping into the microphone. I've been having these nasty tremors as of late. I'm sure it's nothing.
I'm sure you'll be just fine. That will be it on our interview on O. unilateralis. Although it seems like these carpenter ants have it rough, nature always has a way of balancing itself out. Despite the complex metabolic activities utilized by the fungus to protect its ant victim from microbes and scavengers during the week-long sexual reproductive stage, the parasites can fall prey to hyperparasites that castrate it and in turn save the remaining healthy ants from becoming infected. Well, there you have it, folks. I hope you're as fascinated as I am by Mother Nature. Next time, we will talk about why some bumblebees dig their own grave.